Do you like the Dreamcast? I love the Dreamcast, and that's why I'm on a mission to complete every game on the system. There are almost 300 English language releases, and I want you to join me on my adventure to completing them all. Last video we looked at Elemental Gear Gimmick. Well, now it's time to shift gears and head into B-movie schlock territory. Game number 31 is House of the Dead 2. Oh man, I was so excited when this one came up. A bit trepidatious as well, but I remember having a lot of fun with this as a kid. So first things first, if you like the idea of this video, leave a like, it will help boost its presence. I would like the series to do well, and I need you guys to help me out with that. There's also a Patreon where you can watch these videos a week earlier than everyone else. There's also lots of other great perks over there, and I genuinely appreciate the support ever so much. So, the elephant in the room. This is a light gun game. We've all played it in the arcades, and if you haven't, well, sucks to be you. But how am I playing this? I'm playing on an emulator, and there are probably some fancy tricks around the light gun stuff, but House of the Dead 2 has a standard controller option. I had no idea it did. I always played with the light gun on my Dreamcast, but part of me wishes I found out that you can use a normal controller back in the day, but more on that later. So there are a few modes in this game. As with every Sega arcade game ported to the Dreamcast, they had to augment it with a few more bells and whistles so they could charge 40 quid with it. It's gotta last longer than 5 minutes. A message all overexcited males have heard one time or another. For this playthrough, I decided on original mode. This plays just like the arcade mode in terms of like the story and levels, but with the added gimmick of collectible items and power-ups. You won't really notice this on your first playthrough, but more on that later. I'm playing single player, and it opens up with some classic dialogue and a transition that makes me feel like I'm in an episode of Charmed or something. I think having the Charmed ladies as the main protagonists would be the only thing that could make this game even better. So it's your classic. Some may even say peak light gun gameplay. The story is divided up into stages, and you just have to kill the zombies or monsters before they whack you. You start off with 3 health points, and when you run out of those, you use up a credit. In the original mode, you're given 5 credits. There's no wiggle room for earning more during the gameplay. Once they're gone, they're gone. You can recover health though, or even increase it by finding secret pickups or being gifted by them from people that you help. The general idea, aside from not getting hit and making sure you kill the monsters, is that there are often civilians that need your help. It's not required to save their arses, but as I said, you will get the benefits if you do. And there are lots of routes and small differences in this game that are actually quite hard to witness, because as you play over and over again, you get into a comfortable rhythm. You tend to go through the same route because you're familiar with it. Of course, you may balls up saving a civilian, which may lead you to somewhere else, but my point is, if you want to complete the game, you're better off getting good at the same route over and over. The first level is on the streets of some kind of city. It looks Italian, let's say it's Venice. It's pretty short to get to the first boss, about 3 minutes. And this dude is quite iconic, mainly for his delivery of "suffer like G did." Like, there's no question mark on the subtitles, but there's definitely an inflection in his voice as though he's questioning you, giving you the option of suffrage. That's the kind of bad guy I respect. It is the big bugger you have to worry about, but he's being controlled by the little minions. So if you want to stop him, you have to hit the ghouls and ghost reject to make the big guy stumble back. It's a 2-phase fight, so once he's done, you then have the most difficult part where he zooms back and forth, and I swear I hit him, but the game is convinced that I didn't. Bear in mind, this is my first run through of the game in about 20 years, so I'm still trying to remember where everything is, what's going to pop out, and also get used to the manual aiming. I lost my first continue to this asshole. Our main character, James, meets up with Harry and Amy. Instead of teaming up, you immediately split up again to meet at Sunset Bridge, which sounds very romantic. I think these two just want to spend some romantic time together in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. You gotta make the most of it. Chapter 2 is called Muddy. It starts off with Mr. Bean driving his Mini. This is actually way easier on the controller. In fact, precision aiming is a lot easier overall. Either that or I just have wonky arms that can't aim with a light gun properly. You'll notice at this point small little trinkets here and there, like this little coin. I don't know what it does, but it's not easy to shoot when you only have a few frames to do so. The enemies are starting to get more difficult here, as you have to take on these armored ninja things. You can't shoot their head, they only have a soft part to their belly, And these goddamn owls, if I didn't already love owls, I would hate them thanks to their brief but painful appearance in this game. Hedwig got what she deserved. One of the biggest route differences is here with this key laying on the floor. If you shoot it, you go one way. If you don't, you go somewhere completely different. And I would say more difficult. You get to save this little boy who tells you that his dad is inside the building. You go in there to rescue him, blow the lock off the door, and then accidentally shoot the dude. Yeah, if you shoot a civilian yourself, you always lose a health. So yeah, I'm losing my credits pretty fast here at this point. And we get to the second boss, Hierophant, who's got the most excitable ribcage I've ever seen. This opens up his only weak point, his heart. And he makes his best Dragoon impression by doing death jumps from above. This dude's been playing far too much Final Fantasy. And I actually find the timing of his jumps really difficult. I always get hit by them. Chapter 3 is called Darkness, so either they like moody Xbox 360 games or they believe in a thing called love. Either way, the team now know who the bad guy is. Goldman. We get baited to the Colosseum, but we need to go through the sewers first. Don't call them a trope. And we come to the third boss, Tower, which seems like a weird name for something so wiggly. But anyways, you have to shoot their heads when they open their mouths. It's quite tough, to be honest, because when they are ready to strike, they always flip out in a weird direction, and it's hard to react to. You need to be in position of where their head is going to be, rather than where it is. And especially with the controller method rather than the light gun, it is quite tough. The second part of the fight though, really easy. Well, it will be later on, but I got my first game over, like I ran out of credits. You get to see which route you took to get here, which is pretty cool. But yeah, about halfway through the game, I failed. Not a good sign, to be honest. However, when booting up original mode once more, you will be greeted with bonus items. Throughout that first playthrough, I was actually picking up or being gifted these bonus items, and you can equip 2 of them for the next playthrough. They are disposable, one-time use only, so yeah, don't be wasteful. For my second playthrough, I decided to have 2 extra credits, giving me 7 in total, plus 4 extra bullets in every chamber, meaning less reloading. I actually felt really good about this. I immediately have to go a different route thanks to not saving a boy. Well, it's a bit of a disaster. After some dodgy frogs, worms, and a chainsaw dude, I've already wasted 2 precious credits on the first bloody level. That's those 2 bonus ones gone already. This time when I fight Tower, because I saved one dude, I fight him in a slightly different area, and the second phase is way easier because of how level he is with you. It's piss easy now. Still, that didn't excuse having no credits left by this point. Chapter 4 is Despair, getting extra emo-y here. It's a pretty short level as you make your way to the Colosseum to save Amy and Harry. I saved a construction worker and he gave me a machine gun, oh hell yes. Sadly I have to wait until next time to equip it. I get to the boss, as I said it's quite a short level, but I instantly get hit and wiped out. So yeah, I didn't get that much further despite having 2 extra credits. It's quite amusing that I actually went in a direct route for this one. I'm straighter than Chuck Norris. Next time I decided machine gun. Hell yes. And 2 extra credits, since I picked up another one of those. The machine gun is amazing. It's just got the stamina of a drunken panda. It lasts about a millisecond before you have to reload. I mean, it's really good. But by this point, my fingers are absolutely aching just having to reload. This time, after not saving the boy, he doesn't tell me where his dad is, so I end up going a different way and end up saving more people, so maybe this is the better route. Even though it seems longer and I'm getting hammered. We even fight the second boss in a different place, and there are less casualties, so yeah, I'm absolutely sucking because I can't shoot and reload fast enough. There's too much downtime between bullet spurts, and I get a game over at the tower again. I'm regressing, guys. The machine gun is badass, I just can't keep up with it. I'm not man enough to handle it. Next time, despite not having anything too badass to help me, I managed to get past the Colosseum. I guess I'm just getting better and recognizing what's going to pop up where and how to deal with it. That boss is an absolute bitch though, especially when it jumps down from above. It's almost impossible not to take a hit. With Amy and Harry rescued, they tell you where to find Goldman. He's in his building. Wow, who'd have thought that? Chapter 5 is Dawn. Why is every girl called Dawn a redhead? Is that just me? You're on the road, you bump into an old foe. Yeah, reused bosses, kind of boring, but hey, at least you get to laugh at the big giant being called Carl. I'll never get over that, my best mate is called Carl. Get him, Carl! This reminds me of Silent Scope a little bit, but yeah, I get conked out. One of the power-ups I picked up was UFO, which I'm thinking, awesome, I'm gonna get like a ray gun or something, or there's gonna be a UFO flying overhead blasting some enemies helping me out, but no, you just get to see a UFO sometimes. That's it. I didn't even have any bonus credits for this since I used them all up. Man, I swear I'm getting worse. It's at this point, an hour into playing, I found a bit of an exploit. And I'm feeling quite delicate about my own lack of intelligence for how long it took to find this exploit because, you know, there are two buttons. There's a fire button, there's a reload button. Normally with light gun games, you fire at the screen with the gun, but if you want to reload, you need to shoot off screen. Well, with the controller, you can just press the B button to reload. So if you press A and B at the same time, spamming them, you can fire and reload at the exact same time. You can fire indefinitely. It's like having a machine gun. You don't need to reload. Well, okay, you're reloading it, but it doesn't feel like you're reloading it. And it's quite a lot slower, but it's not far off. This is an exploit. It absolutely kills the fingers, but it completely eliminates any threat of being punked while you're in the middle of reloading. I guess I was just surprised at the game allowing this to happen. Can't believe it took me an hour to figure that out. This can help in another way too. It means you don't have to worry about using one of your bonus items to get a bigger clip, because you don't need a bigger clip, you're just instantly reloading. You can use something else instead. Although this playthrough, I made it just a tad further and inadvertently picked up an amazing power-up. Infinite Chamber. Man, I was so excited I almost put down the beer because this opened up something huge in my mind. If I could combine the Infinite Chamber with a machine gun, oh, this game's gonna be my bitch. The issue is, I currently didn't have a machine gun power-up, so that was my mission. I was gonna hold off using this chamber until I scrounged a machine gun from somewhere. The last time I got one was the construction guy, who I hadn't seen since, unfortunately. It took a few goes, but eventually I found a machine gun in the back of a van. As you do, it's the first place Italians put their machine guns. They're legendary for it. You have literally a millisecond to shoot these van doors as the car is swerving all over the place. That's the thing about this game, and what makes it so replayable is that there are all these little secrets that can mostly be found by accident, or shooting random things like a chandelier, a bucket, a door. You might get something nice. And so yeah baby, I got a machine gun, I got an infinite chamber. I was just ready to get a game over here so I could combine those two bad boys together. But you know what? Even without much in the way of tasty power-ups, I did really well on this run. I got outside Goldman's building where I fought the magician, who wasn't so bad. And the final chapter is in the building and you're fighting some sci-fi zombies. I'm pretty sure they're just blokes who got absorbed into that Pepsi Man fad from 5 years ago when every YouTuber thought it was a unique idea to show exactly what they weren't packing. It's at this moment I started getting tired as hell and making silly mistakes, but it was cool just getting further into the game, mostly on my own skill, rather than cheesing it with bonus items, just cheesing it with the fire reload thing. When you get to the top, Goldman reveals the Emperor, who likes to throw his shiny balls at you. This might be the classiest, poshest teabag I've ever had, ladies and gentlemen. As the final boss, he's quite hardcore, but I was proud how far I managed to get. Plus, who cares? I can rock this bad boy with my infinite machine gun. And the game doesn't let you. It doesn't let you combine them together. What an absolute cock tease. Sega, what you doing to me? It was a huge blow, got to admit. I got really disheartened at this point, but I did have one trick up my sleeve. In that previous play, I picked up another tasty item. 10 plus credits, meaning I start with 15. And considering I just got to the end boss with less than half of that, I think it's possible as long as I didn't get overly sloppy. So I combined the 10 plus credits with infinite chamber, meaning I didn't need to kill my fingers to reload. I got to the final boss, the Emperor, with 6 credits left, which, yeah, I did get complacent. I lost 3 credits to him, meaning I had 3 left when I finally put the end bullet into him. I do know there are multiple endings with this game, but the one I got, Goldman just commits suicide, as you do, and the credits roll as you make your way out of the building, at the end to be greeted by your allies and a few civilians who I didn't accidentally shoot. And there we have it, game complete. So what did I think of it? In terms of fun, it's an easy 8 out of 10. Obviously these types of games don't come along often, and even when they do, they don't touch classics like these. It's a bit limited in certain areas, but there's room for replayability and just having a good time after a few beers. In terms of presentation, well, voice acting doesn't get better than this. This is peak production value. Realistically though, it's alright for the time. I give it a 7. In terms of difficulty, I'd probably give it a 5. Initially, I thought this was going to be a big thorn in my arse, but after I realized what kind of power-ups may be available, you're basically just waiting for the luck of the draw. Not that bad in the end. Completion time, 2.5 hours. If you watched all the way through, thank you kindly. Leave me a house emoji in the comments in honor of House of the Dead 2. Next up, we've got Maho! Maho! In fact, you can watch Maho right now. It's available on my Patreon. Go check it out with the links below. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. It really means a lot to me, and a special shout out to my super producers, Alexander Cato, Brent McLean, FF14 Best RPG, Vey, Sven Nowlertz, Wixit, Josh Foot, Punky Dudester, and Germonic.